what I'm going to tell you here is a bit about what we've been doing. We've not got very far to the center of the earth, but probably we've got the South African gold mines are the deepest mines anywhere on the earth. So if you're going to go below the surface and you want to get down to 4 kilometers or very close to 4 kilometers, this is the place to go as a human being. And so this is what I'll be telling you about. Right. Right, so really I've been involved in earthquake science over here and collaborating with Japanese colleagues in particular since 1994. That's 25 years or so. And it's really accelerated over the last couple of years. And from 2010 to 2015, there was a collaborative, a Japan-South Africa collaborative project. And over here we had research sites at 3 different mines. We had it here at Mo Kutsong mine in the Kaapstad district, another site over here in Western area at the Cook number 4 shaft, and also here at Driefontein mine at Klanganani shaft. And so there, it was a collaboration between the 2 countries, but really this is the most ambitious mine seismology experiment conducted anywhere, anytime. And so what we did is, of course, before we put our instruments in there, we went and spoke to the rock engineers and geologists and said, where are you planning to mine? And so we could get some background data, and as they mine towards the seismogenic structure, we would put instruments in and we could see the seismic response, or the response of the rock mass to mining. And so the idea, of course, was perhaps from a nearby tunnel over here. This is the planned stope. There's something that had been identified as a fault. We would drill for boreholes to identify the position of the fault and put a whole range of sensors in and around the fault, inside the stope, and also of the surface of the earth. And we would conduct a whole range of experiments. And here's just some of our bold travelers going down underground over here. And Tabang Kagarumi over here, you'll see more of him. I don't know if he's in the audience right now, but he is at the conference. Tabang's at the back there. He was one of our bold travelers going down here and sticking over here strain gauges, tilt meters, seismometers, accelerometers, all these instruments into the stopes. And we kind of liken this a bit like to an intensive care room, okay, where you've got sensors stuck in all your orifices to see what your vital signs are like. And that's what we were doing to the earth. And this is Tabang over here at the business end of where all these tubes were coming out, these wires coming out here, recording all the seismicity, the acoustic emissions, the strains. And we had some very exciting results. This is just an example of Cook number 4 shaft pillar over here, which has been extracted. We put a whole lot of different sensors in there. And we were able, and I won't go into detail over here, but to record in great detail not only the seismicity ahead of the face over here, but on various known and unknown faults to see whether or not there was some way in which we could predict, see the nucleation of an event. And so that was, we worked on that for about 5 years. But towards the end of the project, now one of the sites, this was at Kutsong mine, and that turned out to be a little bit of a disaster because we drilled up boreholes, we put our instruments in, but by drilling out the geology, the geology was found to be more complicated than they thought. So the mine engineers changed their plan. And so we were stuck. We had no more money, we had our instruments in there, we just kept it running, and we weren't getting too much out of it. But about 3 months before the end of the experiment, when we would have switched off the lights, suddenly there was this magnitude 5.5 earthquake that occurred beneath the mine. And so it turned out, and this is some of the damage that was caused in the township of Kumo over here. The Council of Geoscience went and did surveys over here and other people as well to look at the damage, estimated that one person lost their life on the surface when a wall fell on them, but about 160 million rands worth of damage was done to the various buildings around there due to the strong shaking on the surface. And that caused alarm. It was felt in Pretoria and Johannesburg, all over. And but fortunately, underground, there was no loss of life. It turned out that the Council of Geoscience was operating a network of strong motion seismometers in the Klerksdorp district, one of their cluster networks. And so they were able to record many of the aftershocks. Here's the Vaal River going by here. This is what Vaal Reefs gold mine with Mo Kutsong, Buffelsfontein, Kopanang, and Great Maligwa are some of the shafts around here. But we had various sets of data. There were the surface strong ground motions sensors over here, and of course any deep gold mine in South Africa has its own in-mine seismic stations, and here Great Maligwa was mining at 2 different levels. The very, very sensitive strain gauges in place. And here on the surface, up here are just some of the readings over here of your peak accelerations up to 0.8 g, 0.5 g, and some of the ground velocities, 0.2 of a meter per second, 0.3 of a meter per second. We had all these instruments underground. We had, in fact, this has been one of the best recorded medium-sized, moderate-sized earthquakes anywhere, on Earth, not just in mining, but in terms of natural seismicity as well. And so we recorded numerous from these different networks aftershocks. You can see here's a period of time from August the 5th of 2014 to May 29th of 2017, 17,000 aftershocks. So that was we were able to, over here, map the rupture in a fair degree of detail. And just as a point of reference over here, that was the origin of the main rupture and of an immediate foreshock. There was a foreshock a little bit before that, but not particularly diagnostic. And you'll see that all the aftershock activity kind of butts up here against some sort of barrier, in effect. And this is what we reckon the rupture was. And in fact, taking the complete seismogram, members of the team inverted it to see what the what the ground motion would have been on it. And this is again the point of rupture. This is where most of the action would have taken place. Slip of up to 5, 10, 15 centimeters, we reckon. And you can see that this area where most of the action took place did not experience much aftershock activity. It had been more or less completely de-stressed, but you had your stress field that had been produced up to this upper area where it continued to creak and crack for several years. And in fact, that continues to today. So it was a very, very rich data set over here. And so we went to the International Continental Scientific Drilling Program and said, hey, this is a fantastic project. They fund projects to address a range of themes like plate boundaries, climate dynamics. They drill into ice, they drill into lake beds, look at climate change. They've got projects on impact structures, natural resources. But our project, we put it in under the theme active faulting and earthquake processes. And we were fortunate because we could say this is an urgent project. We won't have access to that site forever. And also, we need to drill while there's still aftershock activity, so let's go fast. And they approved it. And we also, as you'll see, we had a component of the project looking at the geobiosphere and early life. And so really this is a little bit of our history. We went from this original project from 2010 to 2015, which was really Japan and South Africa over here. And this is just one of our project meetings over here, some of the scientists, to this International Continental Scientific Drilling Program project, which involved people from 7 different countries over here. And so you have to address something of international interest, have a multidisciplinary team, and tackle it together. So this is what we are busy with. So while I talk about that, I'll put on my hat, hard hat over here as we go underground. Right. So earthquakes. Right, now what we have over here, this is not the first time the efforts have been made to drill into active faults. For example, there's this famous San Andreas Fault Observatory at depth over here. And here the seismogenic zone is maybe 3 kilometers deep. But of course they needed to start to drill from the surface, so drill maybe a 4 kilometer deep borehole. We had the advantage that our rupture here, you can see all the aftershocks over here, started just below the mine workings. And so we had the advantage that we could actually start our drilling over here in the mine. And so that is tremendous, but of course you can't just stick in your, what you need to do, of course, then is you need to create for yourself a compartment over there in order to drill. Mo Kutsok, as you can see over there, it's the world's deepest single shaft in the world. So you go from the surface down in one drop, down about 3 kilometers. So let's carry on. This is the same picture over here. And so what we had to do in order to position our drilling rig, now we have to use the conventional drilling rigs, and normally they drill sub-horizontally in order to explore. But we wanted to drill at a steep angle, so we needed headroom. So we had to blast out the contractors over here, 6 by 6 by 6 meter chamber over here, so we could fit our drilling machine there. And so that was an important part of it. A fair amount of effort had to go into this. So we were aiming for the top of the aftershocks over here, and things didn't go as we planned because you have limited control over these directional drills. We aimed for that, but it kind of the hole veered and ran sub-parallel to the fault. The fault kind of drooped down. That was hole A. So we'd blown half of our budget, and we had to start again. And we drilled hole B. We changed the angle slightly. We drilled a bit more slowly, and we hit what we call the core loss zone. Okay, we were trying to be conservative and not say it's the fault zone. We had to penetrate beyond it for 100 meters to make sure we got the only one. It wasn't a whole fault system. But we'd been drilling with double tubes. Okay, that's for faster drilling, but that means you don't retrieve the broken rock. So we had to pull back 50 meters before the core loss zone, put in a wedge, deflect it, drill a hole with a triple tube, which is slower. You have to pull out your rods every half meter. That's all you've got. Your core barrels are short to get all the fractured rock back up. But that's what was done. And then we've run out of money. And so we had to stop. We were, in fact, hoping to drill several more deflections, because here you've got a 20 square kilometer rupture plane, and all you've sampled is maybe 20 square centimeters instead of 20 square kilometers. So the question is, how representative is this really? But here's the core it's been shipped into, and we brought it to Johannesburg over here, to the Mandela Mining Precinct over there, one of their sheds here. It's all spread out over here. And we then have been working on it, logging the core, of course we logged the holes as well, but doing things using various techniques. And I'll just touch on them over here. But here's the section that was recovered with our double tube. And one of the very interesting things, of course, is we had to look at the mineralogy of this. And we found out over here using XRD that we found that there was talc in the rock here. Now, in the area, there are numerous, about 5 different generations of intrusive dikes. Some of them are lamprifiers, but this particular one in the zone, we found talc, which you know is the weakest mineral on your hardness scale over here. And so this could be, and one of the reasons why this particular fault, in fact, slipped. I mean, another strange thing about this fault, normally when you're dealing with mining-induced seismicity, they are normal faults because gravity is what to close the void, but this was a strike-slip event. And also when we looked at the projection of this aftershock plane into the mine workings, there was no major structure there, no significant fault or dike, so it was kind of really rather enigmatic. Another example of the technology that's been used is it's so important for us to understand the stress field underground, and we've been using and adapting some new ideas that the Japanese have developed to map stress. And one of them is to determine the, let's see, my little sensor here. There's my light back on again. The idea is you look at if you drill with a diamond drill, your core will come out cylindrically. If you stress relieve it, and the stress was anisotropic over here, it will become elliptical. And so this is just, you put your piece of core here on some rollers, you shine an LED over it, and you can measure very small changes, maybe 5-10 microns in changes in the diameter. And this can be used as a stress measurement technique. There are other stress measurement techniques that we use as well, but this is what we'll be doing systematically down the core to see how stress varies. Of course, you've got to do measurements of the rock strength, its elastic parameters, and all those things to back that out. And down the boreholes, of course, we did geophysical logs, density logs, sonic velocity logs, gamma ray, whatever we could do. Counts of the fractures over here. We used borehole televiews, all the instruments we could throw at it. In the end, to try to understand the rock mass as well as we can and the area around the fault zone. And so over here, what was shipped out to us from GFZ, Geoforschung Center in Germany, was a core scanner in order for us to photograph the core. This is now the vital information over here, and the core is rolled around here, so we have a complete unwrapped image of all about 2 kilometers of core that we collected over here. So quite a lot of our students over here spent last Christmas, their holidays over here working for us, and meter by meter scanning the core to give us a complete record. And then we've shipped some core over. We shipped, in fact, 880 kilograms over to Kochi Core Center in Japan. That's right there right now with 2 of our students over here. And they're busy doing some of the further non-destructive testing over here, sticking the whole thing through on the core trays through a X-ray machine, and doing all other physical property tests. But that's not for the whole core, that's just for the region around the fault loss zone. So this is all very much happening right now. So over here, for example, here's an X-ray computerized tomography image at Kochi Core Center over here, and you can see these are these various fractured pieces of rock. That's just our optical image which we did in South Africa over here. And now you see these very bright pieces and very dense things here. Well, those are pieces of the drill bit okay, because we had various failures as we went along here. So these are pieces of steel. In fact, we had a bit of a battle down there. Right, and the question is, as I said before, why did we have this unusual mechanism? Not normal faulting, but strike slip faulting at this unusual depth, below the mine, not inside the mine. And so we were very fortunate, and Musa has shown this work before, but we had legacy data that was acquired before the mine was started. The mine was started in the late 1990s, and before they sunk the shaft, they did first 2D reconnaissance lines, and then later 3D mines, seismic lines over it. And so we were able to now to look at where our aftershocks were and reprocess the data in order to see if we could find any capable structure. Of course, when they acquired the data originally and processed it, they weren't looking at the footwall to the reef, they were trying to image the mining horizon. And so we reprocessed the data over here to see if we can see it better. Now we believe we can see something quite subtle over there. And so here, this is just a model here, taking some of the faulting data that we've got in the mine, over here trying to project it deeper down and trying to reinterpret our reprocessed seismic line here to see if we can identify the structure. So again, in terms of just looking at active faults, this is in fact, we've got an unusually rich data set over here. Right, so let me change hats from being a miner to putting on my deep carbon observatory hat over here, because these are one of the sponsors of this part of the project over here, is to look at the origin of life deep down here. And I guess some people, Jules Verne, imagined there might be all sorts of beasties down there, and he was right. There are, in fact, beasties living in what you think are solid rock. And, but our involvement in this, in fact, started a few years before that when Musa was doing his PhD study, and we were looking at data, merging together data that had been acquired all over the West Wits line over here. And one of the papers that we, so this is a typical image over here. We've seen the different strata over here around Kloof Gold Mine. And one of the things that we looked at, one of the major hazards in deep mining are inrushes of high pressure water and flammable gases. So what we did is we found from the existing mining activities where they had occurrences of water and methane, and then by mapping our structures over here, we could say, well, those are the features that are likely to bear these fluids, and you must be very aware of it, alert of them. And so we published a paper over here in geophysics in a special issue in 2012 over here, and we're very proud of this. We got the award for the best paper in geophysics in 2012 for this paper, but looking at using seismic attributes to map these conduits for water and methane in deep mines. And of course, was working at CSIR, and we were aware that that we had several very nasty explosions where these cocktails of flammable gases are detonated. And so we just read up in the literature, and at that stage, nobody was quite sure where this methane came from. Could it have been primordial methane from the core? Could it have something that had been dissolved in the coal measures near the surface and been brought down? Gold-bearing strata, you do find kerogen layers. Where did this methane came from? And we just reported on what was, I suppose, in the literature. But we got a letter from somebody called Thomas Onstock from Princeton University, and he said, your figure delineates a fault called Darley's fault at Kloof Gold Mine, from which we have collected several samples over the past 10 years. And unknown to us, they'd been doing this study of life forms in these deep mines. And this was part of a study that Talis and his group had been doing, and he's from Princeton, looking for life forms that occur in very hostile areas, like the black smokers under the ocean, or in ice, or in hot rocks. And what they had done over here, in fact, they'd already discovered some new, almost a taxa of life forms. And one of them that they discovered over here, or in 2003 or before that, they'd in fact named Desulfodorus audax viator, bold traveler, and that was the species name they had given to it for this life form. And that whole species, that community, was at least 100,000 years old. You could look from, I understand, from the, I suppose, the genetics of these things, and it was at a depth of nearly 4 kilometers in a fracture zone at Kloof Gold Mine. And so that has started a very fruitful collaboration. So there's been quite a lot in the press about this audax viator, an organism that lives independently in total darkness, high temperature. There's no carbohydrates down there. it eats, sulfates, and it fixes carbon and nitrogen from the environment. So it's got a completely different metabolism to creatures like us that live in the critical zone where we've got sunlight and we can eat fruit. So it's been a very interesting thing. And so we got involved with this, and they've in fact had already discovered other strange creatures over here in the same area. One they call Halicephalobos Mephisto, which means the worm from hell, Mephisto from Mephistopheles. And so I guess this is, if you're biologists, you can really let your imagination run quite wild. So that is only a few. You can see the scale here. That's a micrometer. So it's not quite on the same scale as Jules Verne. But these are the kind of creatures we've been finding over here, things that have lived for a long time over here and have got very peculiar, I suppose, properties over here. It likes bacteriophagous. It prefers, it eats bacteria. It's parthenogenetic, and I believe that means that it doesn't need sex to propagate. It's not just multiplies without having sex. Right. So it's interesting things. And not only do we find strange communities of microbes, we also found strange communities of researchers that we got to know. And I've just been in the session right here before about, I suppose, gender issues in the industry. And now I'm a bit nervous all of a sudden for showing a slide with naked men on there. So if anybody's offended, please accept my apologies, but that's quite normal underground in the hot mines for us to strip off while we're working down there. Right, so interesting stuff. And so really what we've been learning about is how you have these different life forms over here and different sources of methane, some being abiotic, some being biotic, and that is what we've been collaborating. And one of the things that this is quite amazing to me, that is that the role that earthquakes could play, and there's a whole mechanism over here, that if you have an earthquake over here, there's you get what they call mechano-radical reactions that actually generate hydrogen during earthquake faulting. So, in fact, there's if you have this friction taking place, you can get a reaction over here which takes water and releases hydrogen. And one of the hypotheses that are being tested is trying to understand what role earthquakes play in actually releasing, in feeding these bacteria, feeding these communities. So, that's really where we are right now. We're working together with our geomicrobiologists at our deep boreholes. They have got tubes inserted in there that allow them to sample, 400 and 600 meters down the hole by pushing nitrogen in, taking and getting a slug of water out and sampling it regularly. They freeze it, send it off to the labs, and are now extracting the DNA and trying to understand what these organisms are. But one of the interesting things is over here they were keen to work with us because these not only was this hole going into deeper strata than they'd ever sampled before, but also the water was very saline, very old, very saline. And we first were worried that it was sterile, and all life would be, there'd be no life in it. But of course the option was, if there was life in it, it would have to adapt to a more rugged environment than any other life form. So it would be likely to be different. And so at this stage, we just know there are microbes in there. They haven't done the DNA sequencing, but it's likely to be some new bug with some new interesting name to it. So these are just, again, some of these different parts in different parts of the mine, some of these little worms that have been found. Some of these are not just unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms, little nematodes even, that are found down below. Right. So this is where we are, but really the bottom, the message is that the inner Earth is in fact teeming with exotic forms of life. And even though it's incredibly sparse down there, you think most of the life as we know it is within a few tens of meters of the Earth's surface. Okay? But there's a whole shell below us that goes to depths of maybe 4 or 5 kilometers where the life is sparse, but because it's still a lot larger shell, there's in fact quite a significant amount of the Earth's biomass that exists down there. And this asks some very fundamental questions. Like, did those life forms start on the Earth's surface and adapt and gradually transform to live in deeper and deeper within the Earth? Or could it be the other way around? Did life start off deep down and then adapt to live on this oxygen-rich life on the surface? So that's part of the questions that we are being asked. So really, Over here we see there's a huge amount of biomass present in the deep biosphere. Faulting over here is believed to provide enough hydrogen gas to sustain microbes underground. These fractures, and this is part of what we've been doing with our seismicity over here, is to see that these could provide pathways for these microbes to colonize these deep crustal environments and move from one location to another. And what is partly driving this is real curiosity-driven science. These could be the environments which you could find on other planets, asteroids, and could give us an indication of the life forms that could exist down there. So really this brings me to the end of the story. Some interesting science that is very current, that we're busy working with teams of bold travelers down here from all over the world. And that's what Jules Verne's illustrator thought it would look like. It looks a little bit different, but that's where we are.
Thanks very much, Ray. Sorry I missed introducing you. Are there any questions for Ray?
Well, thank you for coming back to Durrheim and the story of this. My question is related to earthquakes, and there are a number of gases also that one may measure when they're in an earthquake area, like radon and other rare gases that can be there.
Right.
Do they may have also an influence on this biological activity? And
yes, I mean, there's certainly, if you've got radioactive materials, now I didn't go into all that detail here, but that radiolysis is also a way in which it can, in fact, create, as I understand it, food for some of these microbes. But also, the other thing, of course, people have used radon, the release of that as precursors to earthquakes. And we've tried to do measurements way back in our minds, but I mean, you find uranium, uraninite, together with the gold. And of course, when you're mining and blasting and you're ventilating and things like that, you get huge fluctuations in this. And to try to find subtle signatures that might be related to precursory cracking, I think is very difficult in a mine where, in fact, uranium is often a byproduct. And so that we pursued that idea way back. We haven't done it recently, but yeah.
Just another set of questions, if I may. Interesting enough is the study that you did on the 5.4 earthquake and the aftershocks next to the earthquake rupture area. In that detail, I mean, you're right. I mean, nobody did any work looking at that detailed activity with the main rupture and next to the aftershock area.
Yeah.
Did you make any correlation with the water or fluid distribution there, or something like that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot more detail that I didn't show you here. So we've got the various rock structures, which you've got quite nicely mapped, and you see the change in rock strength. So we think we understand why. I mean, one of the questions is not only why do earthquakes start, but why do they stop? So we are trying to, why doesn't the rupture just continue? And so by looking at the rock structure, we think we do understand that. But also, I mean, even right now, with where we've got our sampling in that deep borehole, we can measure just by the pressure changes. We see the daily earth tides in there, but every now and again we've seen a little jump over here. And sometimes it's a sudden jump, sometimes it's just a slow change. And we've looked and searched our seismic records, and we can't find, any earthquake, that occurred, but they could be maybe slow earthquakes because our sampling rate with our pressure gauge is 1 sample per minute. And so there are a lot of peculiar things going on in that area, which we, at this stage, are still trying to collect the data over here, and we are posing, new questions are coming up.
And the water distribution there?
Well, of course, when you mine, you'd have to dewater the whole mine. So you pump all the water out to a depth of maybe 3.3 kilometers. So in fact, when you're in that fault itself, the hydrostatic pressure is relatively low. It's not filled up to the surface. So it does contribute. But elsewhere in South Africa, we've seen as mines have closed down and the water table has been allowed to recover. We've got beautiful examples of the way in which the introduction of pore fluid pressure then triggers seismicity, a whole front of seismicity that is active for months and years afterwards over here. And so it's a combination both of the introduction of the pore fluid pressure, but also some reaction between the fluid and the fault plane and the fault materials that would perhaps change the cohesion and the frictional constant. You know, because in fact the earthquake epicenters tend to be quite close to the water level. Not, you know, if it was just pore fluid pressure, you'd expect it to be hundreds of meters deeper down where you're getting that significant change. But it just seems almost the wetting already has a significant role. Yeah, but the water level is not changing in this mine right now.
Okay. Thanks very much, Ray.
Thank you very Okay. Right, our next speaker is Tsitsi Rakatandudrheim. Are you there, Tsitsi? She is originally from Madagascar, and she was part of a project over here called Makova. I won't say too much about it, but where an array of seismometers was created in Madagascar, but together with studies in the Comores and Madagascar and Mozambique to understand this, the seismicity of the region, and also why you get volcanoes in Madagascar, which is far from a plate boundary, and some other interesting questions that she's busy about to finish her PhD.
And I was meant to remind everyone, don't forget to vote for best keynote, best presentation, and best student presentation, and then best poster. Cool. Keep that. Cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tirian Manar Kutundaide, or Titian Kutundaide. As Prof. Ray said, I'm a student from Madagascar.